alternative.
We really do. I think, this works half the time. It works okay, but it doesn't always work as well as you think it would. Having the power of Google behind it.
Yeah.
So, good morning to some. Good afternoon to others.
What?
It's good morning here.
It's it's morning and it's snowing here.
So
it's good afternoon here.
Did we lose someone?
Sudo, can we hear you?
Yeah, he should
Okay.
be.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just not waffling.
Gotcha.
Sudo's all lit up. Are those Christmas lights around the teddy bear?
That they did.
Pound from Pound Shop.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, I was on the screen when you said about that.
So Matt, nose coming down.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Rocco, no.
I was gonna say that white crap.
Oh my.
Well, at least it's snowing for you.
Nothing for me as of yet. Just cold.
So, guys, I want to welcome the Feren OS developer.
Hey guys.
Welcome, Feren.
Welcome, Feren. We know Feren.
Yeah.
So, spent a little time on your channel, and you've got some new videos up on some of the latest work. You've been busy.
Yeah, quite a bit.
So tell us what's up. Can you share anything that we haven't seen yet or don't know about yet, as far as what you've been doing?
On the desktop theme, when Windows maximize, just like you saw in the tablet mode one, the taskbar now goes fully opaque. In other words, it goes solid black when the Windows maximize now.
Nice.
Something that got my attention was tablet mode.
Yeah, I had a bit of help from the guy that made that extension on getting it to work with his extension.
I've got a hybrid device that I use for testing back here. Hold on one sec. And so this would be perfect for that. The keyboard pops right off.
Oh, is that a Surface?
Sure.
No, it's a Dell actually.
All right, it looks like a Surface, but yeah.
Yeah, it does.
It's got a hardware keyboard that pops right off.
Very nice. What
Definitely
processor is it?
the Surface.
What's that, Sudo?
What sort of processor? Memory has it got?
It's got 4 gigs of RAM. It's an SSD drive, and I think it's equivalent to. Well, let's see here. It's a Core M.
All right, yeah.
So not a bad little device, but when I saw the tablet mode within Feren OS, I've tried several distros. Started out with Ubuntu on here to see if Unity would be good for touch, and then later moved it over to KDE because I could actually set up KDE to be much more touch friendly than I ever imagined. So seeing that tablet mode that's interesting because, well, I don't know. I don't use tablets as much as I used to. What about you guys? Are you using tablets?
Yeah. I've got a Toshiba 10-inch. It's quite old now. I mean, compared to modern tablets. My kids have got tablets. My wife's got tablets. I mean, pretty much, if you want to sort of, if you wanted to check someone on YouTube or like you say, Gmail or whatever, or you don't have to sort of boot up your computer, wait for it, go into a different room. You can just check it in front of the front room. It's just ease, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I know for me, I have the Kindle Fire HDX. I have an old BlackBerry playbook that I still have kicking around that I use for local music, and I have an Asus Transformer. Last Android
I'll be
one
the
was.
odd man out and say that I don't have a tablet.
I've got an Nexus 9 here.
Yeah, the
what?
Nexus.
9.
The Nexus is they're the Google ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're nice. Then I like they're sort of you can well, you can hack them a bit more because they're more common. Everybody seems to sort of jailbreak or you can route them better and stuff like that.
Well, I was gonna say, if I remember correctly, aren't the bootloaders unlocked, Feren?
Yeah.
I managed to unlock my one on the Nexus 9.
You managed to what?
Unlock the bootloader on my tablet so I could get Sergeant mod onto it.
Yeah. Do you do custom ROMs? Custom
Right now, I've only really seen Sergeant mod and Remix operating system. Those are the only two mods I've really tried on it.
Yeah, I used to spend way too much time in XDA developers forums for custom ROMs, tablets, and the phones.
Me too.
I was gonna say that's how I got the most life out of my Motorola Droid 4.
Oh, wow.
I've got an old Samsung Ace, and it stopped at gingerbread. It was gingerbread only. You couldn't go higher than gingerbread. But on the XA forums, they got Kit Kat on it, and it works beautifully. It's not a theme. It's not actually themed. It's actually Kit Kat, and it works perfectly. And obviously, we're going down the same route as Apple saying, a new OS won't run on it. You've got to buy the new iPhone or a newer device to get a better operating system. The same way as Google and Android are going now. But you can, if you go to the XDA forums, you can actually download somebody who's done it for you. And you can put a new operating system on an old device.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yes,
You can breathe new life into things. This is a Galaxy Note 3, and I refuse to get rid of it because, number one, it's spec-wise. It still does everything I need it to do. And with the new ROMs that are coming out, Cyanogen 3, Cyanogen Mod 3, and then 13. So you've got CM13 that'll run on this now. CM14, I'm sure, is around the corner, and it runs great. The battery life's still good, so why get rid of it?
Yeah.
Sadly, with an update to Sergeant mod 13, it kind of broke down the Wi-Fi, so I'm on stock stock Nougat now.
You're running stock?
Nougat as in 7.0.
Okay. Yep.
Which seems to have caused a really big performance increase, surprisingly.
For Wi-Fi as well as battery life?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I need some help here. We've got 11 viewers, but I'm not seeing chat session going on anywhere, so I've done something wrong here.
Oh, Derek wants an invite.
Who wants an invite?
Derek Laverty.
Okay.
Yeah, Derek's on. Invite him.
Yep. I'll pull him in here. We'll see how that goes as well. Let me see here. Derek, I've got you. I am not able to see, for whatever reason, I'm not able to see the chat window.
Is somebody monitoring the chat? Because we're leaving them guys out, aren't we, really? I'm not monitoring it. Is somebody monitoring the chat window on YouTube?
I'll have to do that.
let me go over.
Sorry, YouTube
It
users.
seems
Yeah.
I'm monitoring it, and the chat window seems kind of paused. On the last comment being from Linux and other stuff.
The last comment was what? I'm sorry.
Linux and other stuff is comment.
Right,
Oh,
we've got
Daddy's joined.
a question
I'm
from
on it.
somebody.
Okay.
It's what's the best distribution for students? Any recommendations?
For students.
Yeah, for students.
Rocco, this one's all yours, man.
What? Are you kidding me? He just threw me a curveball. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's any desktop designed for students, is there? It would more or less be for your taste as far as how experienced you are.
I was going to say it really depends on what you're looking for. Are you looking for ones that are preloaded with like educational type stuff, or are you looking for one that you can just build educational stuff on top of?
I'll probably say endless worse. Because the Sudo's done a feature on that, and it looks to have quite a lot of stuff on it.
Yeah, I was going to say I would either, what is it, Uber Student and Endless would be the two that I'd recommend.
Was there not an Ubuntu one as well? There was an Ubuntu education one, wasn't there?
Edubuntu. I think that's
Education.
on.
Yeah, I think it's discontinued now, but
Yeah, I think it's 1404.
yeah, I mean any distro, isn't it? Really, you know, you start from sort of the bottom upwards, or if it's like preloaded, fully loaded, then use that. I don't know. I mean, I would suggest an easy distribution to start off with. You know, I don't know, Elementary or Peppermint. You know, Linux Mint.
Yeah.
Well, that blows my pure arch experience that I was going to suggest.
No,
Are you having withdrawal, Rob?
Rob, Pure Arch is for the second part of that question, which is the best one for developers. or maybe Linux from scratch, or Gentoo, or Slack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess my 2 cents. I think you guys are right on track. But basically, if it's going to be a good, stable system that allows you to easily obtain what you need for the type of work you're going to be doing, whether that's you're a student. So some of the mainstream, V2, Linux Mint, down the line.
He said it's a 471 said it's a 15 gigabyte download. He might be
Yeah,
over
so
the
if you're
school
capped, that might be a problem.
before he actually downloads it.
Hello,
No,
Derek.
is that Endless
There's
OS?
Yeah, there's a lightweight version of it that's only 1 point something gig, if I remember. But it needs internet access for all these stuff.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Hello, Derek. I don't think we can hear you.
You sound kind of silent.
Yeah, I was going to say your mic is way down.
I can see Derek, but we can't hear you, Derek.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Maybe a bit close. I think it might be. Is it like on the side there? Just slightly, yeah. It's quiet.
We can hear you. It's a little low, but we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We're waiting on Derek, are we?
Testing 1, 2.
Hey!
Hey!
We can hear you now.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got a hit. Heads. I'll have a look at my settings.
That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is better. And whoever's got YouTube playing in the background, you might want to shut that off and pause it.
That's a delay.
Yeah. Just put a mute on the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Otherwise, get
I've
a
got mine
repeat.
unmuted.
Yeah, I always mute mine. Someone's still got it on. I don't know.
Hey, Derek, what time is it where you are?
It's 235, 225.
Okay.
I think you're in Scotland, Derek.
No, West Midlands.
Hey. Have you not got a Scottish accent?
I don't think he heard you. We
Have we lost him? Have we lost him again?
Possibly. So, do we have any other questions in the chat room?
Someone needs to mute their stream. There you go.
I know, I kind of started hearing the echoes when Derek joins. Not exactly sure though.
Derek, are you still with us?
Has anybody got any questions? We've got 14 people watching, but that's not exactly right. I mean, I've had more comments on my streams than the 15 watching. Has anybody got any questions? We've got like half a dozen people here with some kind of knowledge regarding
questionable knowledge. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And we really have no agenda. We're just a group of guys that are into Linux that somehow have found each other.
Linux and other stuff has got a question for me.
Who's got a question?
Linux and other stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yes, I've got a question for Feren. Go on then. I know what it is. It's what's a computer?
And that is the problem with anything between the keyboard and the chair for an end user.
Yeah. He's put his question in. You put the menu dash backgrounds bit in. I'm not actually sure. It's either pop-up menu or menu. Don't actually know completely about that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Just gonna see what a themes patch for it has put in. Because there was a pull request recently on El Bolasul's Redmond themes thing, which was meant to fix his themes for Cinnamon 3.2.
Well, that coffee was good, Rocco. You mind sliding the cup of that this way, buddy?
What's the matter?
I said that coffee looks good there. You mind sliding the cup this way, buddy?
Hey, man, I got a whole pot.
Did we lose Derek? Derek, are you there?
I can see Derek.
Or
Yeah.
you just dropped
Come on,
down.
man.
Lost him.
Matt, what happened to your video, man?
Uh,
Oh, there it is. Okay.
I don't know about the patch, Linux and other stuff. I'm looking at the patch someone else made, and they've just got the .menu tag in the patch.
Oh, we've got another question. Maybe a very broad topic, but what are your thoughts on Slackware? I haven't seen pure Slackware systems in quite a while. That was from Metalhead. Any thoughts on Slackware?
Haven't really seen it.
really want to deal with dependencies.
I haven't done a thing back with.
No, I've never installed it.
No, I've tried, but I'm not comfortable with it, should I say?
Slackware, that was the time I was kind of away from Linux when, I was keeping abreast of the news. But what was the initial draw or appeal with Slackware? What was it about Slackware that kind of brought it to the forefront? For the time, the pretty short time it was, I guess.
Well, that's Linux and other stuff. After freebies again, what is it? He's asking why can't you open up the contest to be worldwide? I mean, it goes on shipping. I would have thought, Rob, because I've got my cups down here, and I'm trying to get a price from the post office, the Royal Mail in the UK, to sort of send it to anywhere in the world, and get a rough idea how much a cup is going to be to send to someone who wins it. I mean, it's not the actual cost of the device or the cup is sort of little compared to the postage.
Right. So, I had that Linux to Go giveaway, and the little flash drive, which has a $15 value, it cost way more to ship it
Yeah.
than the value of the flash drive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and also the device electronically is made for the U.S. So the power cord and everything, voltage is all U.S. Not that that's a big deal. There's ways around that with adapters and stuff. But primarily, it's the shipping cost.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing here. You want to obviously include everybody in the channel, but the limitation is finance. Obviously, I mean, if it costs $100 to send it, and the device is only worth $10 or $15, it's just stupid, isn't it?
Well, he says that the shipping is not that much more worldwide, but it depends, I guess, on what you're shipping. Because I had a headset that I had bought, and the company was based in England, I believe, and I had to send it back because it started to go on me. And the shipping, I think the headset was I think it was $150 for the headset, but it was $125 just to ship it back to England. I'm like, no way, it's not even worth it.
Oh.
Might as well go buy a new headset.
I mean, I'd love to ship stuff worldwide. It's just that, and I plan to do more giveaways, and I may open it up at some time. It's just, we are at the Christmas holidays, and I have 3 children. We actually be feeling bad for me.
Well, I might be able to help with that end of things, Rob. I do have a bunch of digital giveaway stuff that I can throw your way for that.
Awesome.
Perk of running a video game website at one point.
That'll be fun. I love doing giveaways and stuff like that. I mean, it's fun because you start to when you guys you start to build up a community and you get to know people, and and it's for me it's been extremely positive with Linux Quest. I mean, like you guys started out, it started out as a hobby for a lot of you and to enjoy it, and so being able to give stuff away is a blast as you get to know people. It's just fun to do that, but financially, it would be difficult to start shipping things all around the world because, from my standpoint, if we were all making tons of money on YouTube doing this, which would be great, if we didn't have day jobs, so to speak, so we could do this, for a living, it would be phenomenal. It would be a blast.
Linux and other stuff says first class up to £4.
For what?
He's talking about the shipping. Be first class up to £4. But I got a problem here, Rob. Matt just sent me a link for Wire, and of course he sends me the Ubuntu link, which I can't.
It's in the AUR.
I'm looking right now. I don't see it in the AUR.
I'm looking on Manjaro and I'm seeing it.
Where are you seeing it at?
Oh wow.
What's the name actually called? Just Wire, right? I'm a arch noob here, Rob.
Yeah, it's just Wire. Or it might show up as like
Have
Wire.
snaps now.
I was gonna say I already have it installed, so
And it's called Wire.
yeah, it's a modern communication tool. Modern communication, full privacy is what it shows up in my menu for.
Oh, I see it here. Yeah, I see the link.
It's basically Telegram, but it can do video, audio, and text calls. And it's all fully open source front to back. So
Maybe that's something we certainly should take a look at.
I'm not sure if it can do group video calls. I just know it can do video calls. Because, I mean, worst comes to worst, what you can do is you can always do like an OBS stream and just set up OBS to record locally and throw it up on YouTube too.
Sudo, you would be, I think, Sudo, you use OBS quite a bit, and Danny, you use that as well, don't you, OBS?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Yeah, because all you'd have to do is either a screen cap or a window capture and tell it to grab the audio from the speakers and your input from the your mic, and there you go.
That's what I usually do if we're on like something like this, Hangouts and live streaming at the same time. Yeah.
What, you're
Yeah,
using
talking
OBS
about-
to do this, Suda?
Yeah. Just capture the window, and like we've got Google Hangouts open here, so you just capture that Google. I got on a separate screen. I'm monitoring the YouTube feed, and then
Right.
I've also got the Google Hangouts. The Google Hangouts is obviously what's happening now live, and then obviously YouTube is 10, 15 seconds behind what we're waffling on about. But if you just capture the Google Hangout window and stream that over OBS, you've got what we're watching now, haven't we?
Yep, and of course you can downsample and all that stuff with OBS.
Yeah.
Cool. So how long have you been running OBS, Sudo?
Who, man?
Me, yeah. I think Rob said me. What is it? Since pretty much day one, I tried Simple Screen Recorder and Kazam, and I just tried OBS, and that was the way to go. I watched a few YouTube videos, and pretty much, it works. I mean, you can do scrolly messages. You can superimpose stuff over, your screen and whatever. I mean, it's a great piece of kit.
It is.
I've been experimenting with recording Georgia's gameplay with OBS recently.
What was that?
I've recently been experimenting with OBS as well.
What do you reckon to it, though? I mean, it's quite easy in it out of the box. I mean, there's nothing complex in there.
It's a bit of trial and error to get actually working without it practically reducing in quality and whatnot.
There's a thing I did on one of my streams or videos. I did put up OBS do provide, like you put in your CPU, your graphics and stuff, and then it sort of gives you a settings, how to set it up to your particular stream. If you've only got a slow connection or a slow processor, or you can do it that way, and that's what I did.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways you can set up OBS. You can set it so like the outgoing stream is actually smaller than what you're actually capturing, so the bandwidth you're using is smaller.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of different ways you can actually set it up. Granted, I'm kind of glad that OBS is cross-platform now, because I remember using it in like early 2012 when it was Windows only, and that was a curmudgeon of an interface. Not gonna lie.
I've enjoyed seeing now Big Daddy as well as Linux and other stuff, and oh gosh, who else? And you guys are all using OBS with the green screen, right? Where you can have the little image of yourself in front of the video, and that's
Talking
getting
head.
better and better.
the talking head syndrome, I call it, where you chromo, you green screen the background out, and you just have a talking head in the corner.
Well, actually, I had asked Linux and other stuff about how he did it, and he pointed me in the right direction. He did a small video about it and pointed me in the right direction, and then I just went from there. So it seems to work out pretty good.
It's the lighting, but you've got to get correct. You
Yes.
can have the green screen can be blue screen, yellow screen. You can put I tried a big curtain up. I
Green
just got
screen too.
a red curtain, and you just chroma key out the red, but the biggest bit is the lighting, getting the lighting just right, because you get like patches.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you need a top light, a bottom side, and two side lights to make sure all your lighting is even, and making sure you're not casting too many shadows in the background so that the chroma key gets all messed up. And, my days of video editing. Yeah.
Yep.
Going back to the subject of packages, I did recently notice that in Linux Mint 18.1's beta, GDebbie's got a bit of a redesign. Sudo would have seen this.
Yeah,
on his Hangouts.
It's quite nice, actually.
Yeah. It actually looks quite decent. It actually uses a bit more of GTK's features in it, too.
So it gives you a bit more information about the deb file, does it?
No, it's in it, like, it now has a blue strip if the dependencies are satisfied. Well, no, it now has a blue strip on my theme if the dependencies are satisfied. And it actually looks a lot there now.
What is the GDebbie on, though? Is it just a package what you download, or is it sort of?
It's something that comes in Linux Mint. And other distributions.
The new 18.1, is it? Yeah, it was the new 18.1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I managed to change my repos on my phone OS install to point to the Sweeney ones. So then that way I could test sort of Cinnamon and whatnot. To then port themes to it and whatnot. Ready for when phone OS does have Cinnamon 3.2. And I noticed that when I was installing a package.
So what are you running now in your daily driver?
Linux Mint, still. I'm quite happy with it. I did go over to Manjaro, but I had a problem with Manjaro in the backup department. I'd put the grub on, instead of incorporating the grub within the partition, I'd put it on a separate bit of the, I don't know if it was the master boot record or thing. When I saved it, it just didn't do anything. I made a backup because that's the first thing I do. I set up my system, get it all how I want it, make a backup so that if I do screw it up, I can go straight back to the backup. And I just screwed it up basically. But I'd like to go back over to Manjaro. I prefer Arch based,
No, who doesn't like the newest packages? Oh, sorry, Rob. You can't do that right now.
Yeah, you can't do that, Rob.
Rub it in, guys. Rub it in.
I think this challenge was worth it just to see that happen.
What did I miss?
Yep.
Talking about Grob, I was actually looking up for this computer to be able to run Berg bootloader in it. And man, Berg actually looks pretty decent when you themed it up and whatnot.
What does?
Berg, as in Grob, but spelled backwards.
Well,
even though it's legacy PC, as in before UEFI, only supported.
I missed that. I'm sorry. I missed that last part.
Even though Berg only really actually installs properly on PCs that were made before Windows 8.
Yeah. Well, about the distro challenge, I got to say, last night I reached a point where it actually crossed my mind. I thought, so if I ran this in boxes, how quickly could I switch over without Rocco knowing that that's what
Well, I was going to say, I guess you could always technically go to like the Debian testing unstable rolling type deal if you really want to go that route.
Well, no, I overcome my evil thoughts there, and I'm still actually, it's just a matter. It's a process of getting things set up. Once things are set up, it's running fine. And as you know, I mean, I'm a fan of the KDE environment, so it's nothing to do with the desktop. It's just, let's face it, once you get used to going in and the ease of setting things up through the AUR, And it's hard. It's like once you experience air conditioning in the middle of summer, it's hard to go back, to no air conditioning.
Well, at least you're running the latest plasma anyway.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, well, tell us, Rocco, what's going on with you as far as getting things set up? I mean,
Well, I'm like diving into GNOME here, and like I guess it would have been simpler had I went with Antergos KDE because I would have known exactly where I was and what I was doing. So it's making it a little bit more interesting a little bit of a more challenge to find everything and do everything. But we're working it, we're customizing it. I guess after a while, I'll do a couple of videos on it and see what it looks like.
do you wish you had gone with KDE as opposed to
No, I don't think I wish I would have. I just think it would have been like simpler because I know where everything is. Like I'm going to be adding themes to this. I'm going to be adding stuff. So I knew where all the paths were. So it just would have been a little bit more simpler, just switching from Arch to Ubuntu. But I'm fine with trying out GNOME.
Yeah, because basically you gotta say what, Rob?
What are you running now?
Right now, I'm running Manjaro KDE on the machine I'm using now. Actually, I went back to Perl OS on the netbook, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
I find that the interface works for it. And my Ultrabook is still running the lovely thing called Unity that you can't stand.
Wow, Unity?
Okay, to give you guys an idea, when it is a 21:9 aspect ratio monitor on this laptop.
That's bizarre.
Why would you buy that?
Because I like to be different.
Did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
I bought it because I do a lot of side-by-side work. That kind of, unfortunately, squished mentality makes working side-by-side on a mobile production easier for me.
Right.
So that's why I have it. I'm not gonna lie, having the Harman Kardon speakers on it, that's a nice bonus, but for the most part.
I don't guess we have to ask the Feren OS developer what distro he's running because we all know it's Hannah Montana over there.
Right.
I thought it was Rebecca Black.
Yeah, it's only gonna be that. Putting my own distribution on there. So happy on it. So talking about distributions, I did actually try KDE Neon once. Though the only downside I've really saw about KDE Neon is that the Neon desktop package itself is a pain in the bum to install on other Ubuntu distros. So every time I've tried it, I've just ended up having the package error you get when a package has a file that conflicts with another package's file.
Yep.
Which means that it won't install.
I noticed in the Discover, Discover app or Discover whatever they call it, Software Center. I've noticed now, and I didn't see this the first time I tried KDE Neon, but there are double packages on many of the packages you search for. Did you see that at all, Rocco, when you were setting it up last?
No, I actually didn't even. I didn't even take notice of that.
And there was nothing there that I could see in the. I mean, they were identical in like description, icons, and so I couldn't figure out why. First of all, why it was happening, and then secondly, was there a difference? Is there a version difference or something? They didn't list anything to know, so it was like flipping a coin, as far as which one to install.
But you're talking about Discover, right?
Yeah, just through Discover. So once I got Synaptic and everything set up, that all went away, of course.
Well, that's probably why I didn't notice, because I only checked out Discover to see what was new in it.
Yeah.
And they're starting to make it nicer, but it's definitely got a lot of work ahead of it.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, for example, some of the KD apps are actually not listed in it. If you try and search for them, you can't actually find them.
Yeah, you're right. There are apps in there that aren't even listed.
And also, the icons are kind of a bit too big.
Yep.
So then you can practically see quite a lot of low quality icons showing their low qualityness.
To me, it just takes away from the OS in general. You load it up, and it's like, really, this is not something you should be presenting. To me, that's what it looked like because, as you said, the icons are too big; they're blurry. With you getting double listings, and the whole interaction with it, I think, is just a poor example. So,
Yeah, about the icons, a solution could be a fake uniformity where it has a box around it, and then the icon is just in its normal size in the center of that box. Just like in Windows.
Now, that's one thing about Feren, too, that I've noticed is you spent a lot of time on the visual aspects. I mean, is that something was that kind of your main focus? Hey, I want to make this thing visually appealing out of the box, and because you definitely put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to focus on quite a bit. So I really must credit citing a YouTube channel called Include Football, which basically voluntarily started some of the OS's design, as in mainly the theme and some of the icons, including the brown folders.
And the wallpaper I just saw in one of your videos is beautiful. It's kind of a blue and dark blue and I guess light gray. It was hard to tell from the video, but it looked new to me.
What, the poor man's level one?
Yes.
Yeah, that was created by Leox and other stuff. So thanks to it. Thanks.
That was
Thanks for him for making it.
Is he still in the chat channel? We need to get him on here.
Who's that?
Linux and other stuff.
Yeah, I believe he is.
Yeah, he basically made wallpaper for me and Sudo.
Well, he sent me one that was awesome. Kind of that leather background, leather with it looked like an embossment of Linux Quest on there.
Yeah, that's also another one he sent me. Oh, there's another stuff that said yes. As in a chat window.
Join. Send him a thing. What is it? So he can join on camera.
Yep. I'm looking for him now, but
I don't know how to work this. Have you met Steve? What is it? English Bob?
No, we've never met him, but is he on? I'd love to.
We had this on one of my live streams. We had English Bob on, and we wanted to do basically what we're doing here. And we said go to Google Hangouts and do that, and he said no, I want to do it on Skype. And we said no, we don't. We
don't want to use evil Skype.
Skype is proprietary software.
Appreciated.
We try to stay away from that. So we mentioned Google Plus, and basically we got round to actually doing it. We had 10 people on the stream, live, and we dropped out. Each of us dropped out so that other members could join in. So everybody had the 5 seconds of limelight, so to speak.
Sudo, he said okay. Could you possibly invite him here?
Yep, I sure.
Because you are
Linux and other stuff.
You have him on your Hangouts, but I don't have him on mine, so I won't be able to invite him.
Wait a minute.
English Bob. Well, I see many English Bobs, and none of them appear to be.
No, not English Bob. Linux and other stuff.
Another stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I tried searching his name, and it said no. Results found for Linux and other stuff.
It's too early for Rob, apparently.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm slow. All
right, you talk about early. I'm looking for wire in the thing, and yeah, I didn't know you had to click on the AUR tab rather than the repositories tab.
Okay, I'm gonna ask, what package manager are you using?
I'm using the one that comes default in GNOME.
What, Octopi?
No, it's. I guess it's Paymac. I don't know what it is here.
Paymac, yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say, don't use Octopi.
well, when you search for a program, the AUR is enabled, but you actually have to click on the AUR tab to see what's in there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have to click on the little AUR tab, alien head thing.
Well, nobody told me that. You know, Rob, you're supposed to tell me this stuff.
No, you're supposed to discover it as a new user for Arch.
Well, there you go. I just discovered that.
Exactly.
You're going to make me go back through the Telegram notes that I sent you.
Oh, no. You know what? I didn't even look at them yet. Oh, my gosh.
That's why
And
Linux users
actually,
can't have nice things.
Actually, David, I guess his name is Dupois. I don't know exactly how to say his last name, but he sent me notes as well. I got to look through them.
I am not finding Linux and other stuff on here to invite.
Yeah. Sudo's got Linux and other stuff, I think, on his Hangouts thing. I think.
You got it in there?
Try to look at me.
Have I got it? No.
You definitely have TJ Wolf.
Yeah, I've got TJ. I've got quite a few. Jody James. But I've got OS. I tried to look for OS, but it doesn't come up as. He's like sort of. It must be someone else. So he's like me. I'm Rambo. Is a wimp on what is it on Hangouts and not Sudo Reboot. So it must be someone else.
Yeah. Ask him if he's got something else we can search him for.
Eric is back.
Hey, Derek.
Well, I fixed it this time.
I was going to say,
He'll get there eventually. Oh, Derek's back, is he?
yeah,
Yep.
Derek is back. One of the guys is asking about flat packs. I'm assuming he's asking for opinion.
What's his question?
He just put
He
flat
just
pack,
says flat
question
pack
mark.
question mark.
Has anyone worked with flat packs?
No.
No, I have snaps in the package here. Well, that's the only real package managers I've really used.
I was going to say the only ones I've used are snaps and app image. I haven't used Flatpak.
Oh, Flatpak versus Snap, which is better?
I've only used Snap before, so I couldn't
Same here.
Better is relative to the user. The guys who develop Flatpak will tell you Flatpak is better than the people who use Snaps will tell you Snaps is better. Snaps is based around containers. Flatpak is more of like a tradition. Like it uses containers, from my understanding, but it's more. It brings in like all the dependencies with it. It's I don't know. It's kind of how. It's weird how
Is Flatpak cross Linux platform like Snaps are?
It's supposed to be like app images, make once, run anywhere kind of deal. As much as I hate to use the reference, it's like Java. It's supposed to be like Java was supposed to be. Then again, you can say the same about Snaps too.
I don't know
how to use this, Pete.
Any word from other stuff on a possible way to search for him other than Linux and other stuff or other stuff?
He says he doesn't know how to use Hangouts.
To quote, I don't know how to use this crap.
I didn't either till 5 minutes ago, but this is pretty cool so far.
I don't know how to add people on it. That's what I don't know how to do.
You use the search bar on the top of the people you're chatting to, and then put the name of their Google Plus profile.
Yes,
and then look for them on the results.
Yeah, if you take your cursor and move it up top in the video screen, you see a little pop-up.
New conversations, and it says enter name, email, or phone number.
Right.
And then you can either add, your Google Plus name, your YouTube name, anything what's associated with it, or even your email. I've contacted people via email, and it'll pop up in there, and you can obviously then set up your camera and join.
Gyros again with the do not stars politics thing. Yeah,
hey, Derek,
Gyros again with the do not start politics.
Derek, could you show your desktop? Do you know how to share your desktop through this?
Not really.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah, we
sure
can.
either. I swear there used to be an option for it. I now can't find it.
Over on the if you open up the Hangout window, there's a share screen button on
Oh
the
wait,
right.
I see it. Screen share. It's underneath chat.
Hey, buddy.
And then it'll ask you if you want to do application window or entire screen. And then you just simply click share. Like that.
I'm here. I've got Linux and other stuff on, guys. You guys go ahead. Please proceed.
So, Feren, what's your opinion on how most of the other desktops are being designed UI-wise? Seeing how that is like your area of focus with Feren.
Deepin looks quite decent. Unity looks decent. It looks kind of decent. It looks definitely. It looks nice for Ubuntu, definitely. So does Unity 8. Unity 8 looks nice and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some people like to say it looks like Numix.
Well, didn't they hire one of the guys working on Numix?
Like, KD, that looks really good, especially if you have Breeze Dark.
Yes, Breeze Dark is probably the best theme that I've seen on Linux.
Gnome looks a lot better if you actually have something like Arc on it as the theme. And then not sure about the other these. Oh yeah, Bodgy looks good as well.
What's your take on Elementary's design?
Yeah, Elementary's design actually looks quite good too. I actually kind of like that design. It also looks really good on the Arc theme too.
I don't think Elementary was ever bad in design. I think it was. I think it's a beautiful operating system. The problems don't come in with the design of it. The problems come in with use
of it.
Yeah, back in Freya, always had UEFI issues for me where Grob would be misconfigured on the installed system. So then it'll just point to the Grob prompt rather than actually showing the selection screen. As in the minimal bash like editing message font thing.
We have got a couple of questions. Have you guys ever tried Chrome OS?
Yeah, I've seen a retail demo of it. I've tried retail demo of it. Looks pretty good.
If you open a web browser, that's pretty much Chrome. In my opinion.
Yeah. At least they're getting Android apps phased in now, including the Play Store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're on Canary, on some people's laptops, you can now have Play Store on it on Canary.
Well, I seen a video yesterday from Ghost67 that said that Cub Linux was discontinued.
Yeah, I had that on my laptop.
Yeah.
So it's no longer being
So I was
developed.
definitely not expecting that. So I was kind of questioning what was happening when Chrome phased out the Chrome app launcher, because of when you tried Cub Linux before it died, it would always just say that the Chrome app launcher is going away.
Huh, that is weird. Because if you go to the Cub Linux website, it just simply says this account's been suspended.
Yeah. He said on the, I think it's DistroWatch or one of the places he went to, said it was no longer being developed.
Oh yeah, it says discontinued DistroWatch.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
So, that actually looks quite good at an operating system. So it was a really good configuration of Box.
Well, we have a comment about Budgie, and we have a comment about asking about Phoenix OS.
Phoenix OS is essentially like Remix OS. It's an Android x86 project.
Have you tried it?
I
Matt?
haven't. Huh?
Have you tried it?
I have not personally tried it. The only one I've tried is Remix OS, and
Same.
there's still some
Same
bugs with
here.
it.
Same here. I've only really tried Remix OS and the original Android x86 project. Those are the only two Android distributions I've tried on the PC.
Sudo, what do you think about Budgie?
I like the Budgie desktop environment. The only thing, there's only one thing what really makes me annoyed about it is the.
Okay, man.
Gotcha.
Hey, David.
All right.
What's going on, man?
David.
Hey, what's up, all?
So,
How come I don't have a picture? What's the deal with that?
Because you're too ugly.
Oh, man. Broke my camera.
so I think you kind of probably need a Google Plus user picture too.
Oh, man. Got to configure this thing more.
Right, go to the settings. What is it? The little cog in the middle.
Yeah, there's a little cog, and just select the.
And choose your camera and your microphone and your voice or whatever that out of there. Save it, and you should be able to. We should be able to see you.
Oh god! So talking about
Wow.
4G, so I heard from the Solus creators in Ike that Arc and Solus actually are developed together now, as if like Horse is working with the Solus projects in terms of the Arc theme.
Nice.
So,
So
what
they
did-
actually
what were you
coexist now.
Sudo?
Sorry.
What were you saying about Budgie?
I just found that it was the scroll menu on the when you open up your scroll the menu, there's like a blue scroll. If you could make that sort of only highlight when you put your mouse over it, it would be more pleasing to the eye. It was it just sort of stood out too much. And there was another, I can't remember what distro it was. I was doing a comparative with it, and obviously it was because Budgie's become an official remix now of Ubuntu. There was one distro what had done the Budgie desktop with what I sort of requested, and it looked a lot better to visually. It just sort of stood out. The scroll menu when you go to all and you choose every application, you had this scroll menu and it stood out like a bloody sore thumb. It was bright blue, whereas if it was sort of the same colour as the background of the menu or whatever colour your desktop was, it wouldn't sort of stand out as so much. And that was the only thing what I didn't like about it. Everything else, I enjoyed.
Oh, there I am.
There you are.
Hey.
Oh,
And
you see? This is my red sheet I found.
Red
That'll
curtain.
work.
Send the red curtain. Yeah, send the red curtain.
Did you? You say you
Can you
found
hear
it?
me?
That was on the interstate. You were flying down the interstate, and there was a
Yes, that's where it was.
We can hear you, Derek.
Thank
Flew
you.
over my car hood, and I thought I can use that.
Hey, that's where I get all of my budgie cords. The interstate.
Mm-hmm. That's my green screen.
Now we just need
It
to
looks
find out
red.
how to.
And you notice, well, I put my sweater on here, but I noticed this camera here, when I'm doing this on OBS, everything that I wear looks brown. But this one is actually brown. I wear a blue shirt, and it looks brown. I don't know what that's about.
Could that be an OBS thing?
Maybe this camera thing. I got another one in the mail. Got it off eBay for $5. It's an old. Hopefully it'll work. It's the Logitech C920.
Oh, that's a good camera.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, I thought you had the. No. That's right. You have the C920. I saw your review. I got the Pro 9000, which is about 10 years old. 10 years now.
Yeah, I've got one of them as well. I've got one of them. I've got a Logitech Pro 9000.
That one's old,
Yeah,
right?
they're a good camera. Yeah, it's old, but it's good.
Yeah, I got that one. Yeah, I saw it, Sudo. I saw your review. I was looking at reviews. I saw your review for the C920. That's what you got, right?
The C920 Air Pro. It's the YouTuber's heaven, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be the YouTuber's camera.
It was a little pricey. I found that one for $5. Nobody bid on it. So we're gonna see how that works.
Now the C9, what's it called? The one what you got OS?
Huh? The Pro 9000?
Yeah, the Pro 9000. I've got it in front of me here. The only problem with the Pro 9000, I mean, it is quite old now. It's a great little webcam, but it doesn't do. I think the highest resolution is 640 by 480 at 30 frames. You can have it at 720, but it drops to 15 frames a second then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little, it's more of a limitation of Linux.
10 frames a second.
Kung Fu's posted a interesting point. So it's about OB Revenge. So you know how it was discontinued and then resurrected again? So he's saying about what happens if it dies again? So it's like, because you never know, it might actually die again. Well,
Well, I was gonna say, isn't that, and no problem to the Feren here, but isn't that kind of the problem with any of the off-branch distros? If the main developer stops doing it, doesn't it die anyway? I mean, how many? If the guy's doing Velt OS or Feren in your case, you stop doing it, or if like these one-man projects stop doing it and we use these distros, isn't that kind of the problem anyway?
Yes, it is a big problem. If you're only having one or two developers on it, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, man. Just keeping ahead of all the changes, just in the themes alone. Yeah. Every time they change something, you got to go back and, I got tired of messing with that. I got a bunch of themes on, just the, what's it called, for the cinnamon. And I put them on there, the newest build, none of them work. So I got to go back and fix that. Yeah. And, I mean, to run a distro, man, you got to keep on top of it. It ain't just, putting it out there, and that's a lot of work. Yeah. But you know what someone needs to make? You know what someone needs to make? A Arch-based Malte distro. Have you seen a lot of them? You got Manjaro. Look how many there are. Manjaro and Targos that hardly works. But if you had an Arch-based ISO Malte distro, that would be great. There's hardly any out there.
So another
XFC.
Another thing I remember from one of Sudo streams is that someone said about that they might make a Arch Linux version of Linux Mint. So that would be interesting to see the end result.
I want to jump back to OB Revenge a minute. I think one of the things that happened with OB Revenge is, and I had an opportunity to talk with Jody. Great guy. And I think what happened is, all of us, all of a sudden, were featuring OB Revenge. And in doing so, that helped to get the word out about the distribution. And I think, just quite frankly, it was overwhelming. I can't imagine the number of questions and the time involved, and now all of a sudden, there's probably pressure to really make sure things are spot on as they can be. And if you've got your daily life, your job, your family, that has to weigh on you. And Feren, I'm sure you can speak to that.
Yeah. So hopefully I might, someday actually have a team to work with in terms of developing it. Especially when I eventually get around to making a cinnamon-based GE that makes that. Have any of you seen the film product unification concepts?
Nope.
Yeah, I'll post a link to it. So it's basically just a set of concepts I've made for Feren OS's future desktop, which will be something that's based off Cinnamon. That'll be built from Cinnamon up, as well as having its own set of apps and whatnot. Yeah, just gonna get a look.
I don't know. I wouldn't make a distro with Cinnamon. It would be Mate. Have to be.
The thing is, though, the Feren's OS, it looks so nice. It's pleasing to the eye. Everything's how it should be. You're not sort of. I mean, I don't like the Cinnamon desktop. I absolutely detest it, but what Feren's done with it, it's completely like a reworking of it. I mean, it doesn't look anything like It looks more like the Mate. I mean, I love the Mate desktop. And it looks more like the Mate desktop than Cinnamon, the Cinnamon desktop. It's just really pleasing to look at, And that, when I did the Feren OS review, I just said it was one of the better looking distros, and I think it is still.
I would agree. I see your link here too. We'll check that out. I'm with you. I'm a huge fan of Mate desktop for sure.
Yeah. So who? It will be slightly challenging though, especially with the changes to tablet modes now in those videos to replicate that on Mate though. Especially if wouldn't be as hard as KDE, but it will still be probably hard to do. Especially with panel BGs and whatnot.
Well, you've got the desktop looking so far removed from Cinnamon. I would venture to say if you didn't list that, hey, this is the Cinnamon desktop running here, people would not know. I mean, it's radically different in appearance and with the menu. Yeah. That's one of the things. I'm with you, Sudo, on Cinnamon. Every time I go to use it, there's something about it. I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. But what you've done, Feren, with it, I mean, again, I don't think people would know unless you told them in some cases.
Well, I personally like the Cinnamon desktop, but
I personally like it too.
I didn't say I liked it better than KDE. I just said I like it. But what Feren has done has made it that much better. So,
yeah.
I was going to say, I think Cinnamon was good for a time when things were uncertain about which direction the Linux desktop wanted to go. But I think at the same time, it's starting to show that it only has a certain design paradigm that is not going to be sustainable, I think.
David, what are you running as your daily driver right now?
Ubuntu Mate.
Yep.
So there's a question asking how safe it is to run discontinued distros or old versions.
About as safe as running old versions of Mac OS or Windows. On the words, don't.
I guess that's a no.
Yeah.
I did run KD for a long time when it was, the 3, 5, up to 4. I mean, that was the only thing I would use.
So
for a long time. Never looked at anything else.
Then what's your opinion on, what is it, Trinity? I think is the continuation of 3.5?
Sure, no. I couldn't use that.
Trinity.
Well, I used KDE back in 3 days too as well, but I don't want to go back to them.
I first used it as Plasma 4.
And you'll notice my first couple videos, I was using the beta of Ubuntu Plasma 5. And when that came out, I was like, man, this is nice. But then something happened. I don't know. Just got bored of it.
About the older distros, I'm going to use Dirty Cal as an example. So if you're using an older distro that hasn't been updated, there are these exploits that have come out over the past couple of months and security issues that you run a risk of facing if you're running distros that haven't been maintained and updated.
Yeah, or be kind of like wanting Windows XP. It's like, pulling like that. So,
unless you're just the person who loves that kind of torture.
Yeah. Also, did anyone hear about the fact that Cinnamon broke the menus in Cinnamon 3.2 because the fact that they got rid of the box pointers? He broke the entry for it in the CSS of Cinnamon themes.
Yeah, I haven't figured that out. I'm thinking about deleting them all. Deleting all the videos, deleting all the themes. I'm sick of messing with it. It's just aggravating.
Yeah. So hopefully, if I did that's based off Cinnamon.
You know what you should implement in your. You see how I, if you look at my themes, download one of them, where I took out that trash can and the workspaces. I'll show videos of them. But you should make your theme with that in there, with the clean workspace. Just take that script word I put in there and paste it in some of yours.
Yeah. Also,
get rid of all the name tag. I got rid of the name tag. The stupid trash can. What do I need a trash can for in a workspace? You know, I'm moving my windows around. Oh, there's a trash can. I want to throw away my file browser or something. You know.
Hey, don't sugarcoat it. Tell us how you really feel.
So, why not?
What are they thinking?
The window from there. The trash can will probably work better if it was on the show all windows view rather than the show workspaces view. So,
I don't know. I hated every bit of it, so I figured out how to delete the trash can, the workspace. I wanted a nice, clean workspace, and I made that little button over here, little green, made it belong, so I could just go anywhere, bam, click, and add another workspace. But yeah, I got to fix them all. None of them look right now. Thinking about just deleting them all.
Question for you guys, and maybe a topic. Did you hear about Fedora looking at creating, or there was mention, possibility of creating kind of what OpenSUSE is doing with their Tumbleweed versus their long-term support release version. So Fedora is actually looking at a version that would be kind of more of a rolling release model. Did you hear about that?
No.
That would be quite cool. So the number one thing I'm waiting though for is an Ubuntu rolling release.
I think it's a matter of time for all of them to go to that. And
so I definitely want Feren OS to be rolling release when I actually figure out how to packages to repositories that I've made. That's something I definitely want Feren OS to be rolling release.
I think a version that is a rolling release, and Arch has kind of brought that on. If you look at Manjaro, you look at Autogos, anything that's Arch-based that we're running today is so current and so up to date with that rolling release model. And then you see OpenSUSE doing it with Tumbleweed. I think it's just a matter of time before they all do it, because once you get hooked into that model of having the latest and greatest, now I haven't been burned, so maybe you guys can speak to that. Maybe the latest and greatest isn't always the latest and greatest. Maybe it burns you.
Chrome OS kind of also has that model too, like with the fact that it keeps Chrome up to date.
Yeah.
So,
but I feel like a hypocrite in saying that, because one of my hits against Microsoft, especially Windows 10, are the updates that just are terrible in some cases.
Yeah.
Well,
beforehand,
the difference with the Windows 10 updates, you can at least, compared to
Windows
Arch.
10 updates, you can't dodge them.
I was gonna say you can tell Arch to no. Windows, too bad.
Well, you can also roll
Windows,
back.
you're in the middle of playing a game, and then it reboots on you randomly whilst you're on screen, basically.
Rob, can't you roll back updates as well in Arch?
Yes.
So
that's
you can also kind of do that with the package too, but you need the dev file of the older version to do that.
You have to have what with the older versions?
the Debian package file of the older version and then install that for it to downgrade.
Okay.
Or if you have a PPA that makes it newer, then just PPA purge it. Grades things too.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot more control in the Linux world over what's going on with our systems than Microsoft is offering now. And, I thought it was interesting that they switched to frequent updates, and then you have the ability to go in.
I don't really like Windows 10's modern release model. I was expecting it to actually be constant updates, where it would add features to the current build. But guess what? Microsoft decides to make it, so then it's one big fat upgrade that's disguised as an update. Every time there's a big fat update for it.
Well, the only problem that I have with Arch is, and it's not just specific to Arch, but excuse me, if you're installing something like Matt, you said about you cannot install an update, but you also have to know what that update is and does. And, a lot of the packages aren't easily explained of what they do. So you have, say, a list of 10, 12, 15 updates, and, looking at some of the descriptions and whatnot, you might not even know which ones to install. So
yeah,
that's coming from a Windows user,
Yeah.
I kind of heard once about Manjaro breaking the network manager package, but once on Manjaro, meaning then it completely broke down the internet.
I was going to say, well, it's like this morning. I had a update for Manjaro that was, I'm assuming, an upgrade to KDE because it had 93 packages that had to be updated, and it was a
oh wow,
it was a 525 meg download, and like install was 2,800 something megs, and with like zero net change. So yeah, you don't get to find control, shall we say, of knowing exactly what all the packages say and or do. And if you start adding stuff from the AUR, then it can get even a little trickier.
What you got there, Dave?
Oh,
that's Mac Bun 2. Where's the
oh god, yeah.
Can you see
So,
it?
Yep.
In Feren West, the Mac theme is pretty much the Mac Bun 2 theme too. So as well as using the latest version of the Mac theme by Bullsall, which is what Mac Bonu seems to be using as a theme.
Hey, Sudo.
Uh huh.
No coffee spilled on you this
Sudo.
time?
No, I think she's gone over to the mother-in-law's.
Oh, that was too funny, man.
I live over the road from my mum-in-law, dad-in-law, and what is it? She sort of it's like daily visits, like any wife and the mum. They sort of need to be. Oh! Did you see that then? She's here. I thought she was. What is it?
you speak and she comes back.
Yeah, I thought she was.
It was a magic trick.
Her ears were tingling.
Yeah, but I don't listen.
Yeah. So someone mentioned about Flash in the comment section. It's like one thing that I've noticed though, it's like it is good that Chrome's phasing out Flash, but the only real issue is that right now I'm a student, and the school uses MyMaths, and believe it or not, some of the tests on it needs Flash on it. So it's kind of painful trying to do some MyMaths tests with Flash being phased out. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of converting in terms of Flash tasks, required tasks. Too. Because that will definitely be an issue once Chrome has fully phased out Flash.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a question just the other day on one video saying, hey, Flash is not working and running Chrome. We recommended not Pepper Flash, but there's a couple others that are running in Firefox. What is it, Chrome 55? Because it does away with Flash support?
I think Chrome just wasn't the last update 455.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
I
think it's
don't know. I run the
55.
beta.
That did that. Yeah, 55.
Yeah, so 455. So that does away with Flash support in general. So, you know,
Something else I noticed about Chrome is that recently they changed the default theme in Chrome, as in one that used to be blue, and made it grey now.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the Windows Vista.
Okay, to be honest, Vista always looks good, but problems.
Gotta get some more coffee.
Any other questions?
Has anyone ever seen the Longhorn project?
The what project?
Longhorn,
The Longhorn project. It was basically,
which was supposed to be the next release after Windows XP.
yeah, but it got reset partway through, and then Microsoft washed what came to be Longhorn afterwards and made Windows Vista, and that's why it's also buggy.
Which was terrible. The worst operating system ever made. Okay, no, I can't say that.
No, Windows ME, thank you.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it was terrible.
Once you've seen the concepts for Longhorn, most of them, it would have actually been a pretty awesome looking operating system if it actually made it to prime time.
Yeah, but the problem with Vista wasn't the looks of it. It was the hardware compatibility and everything else that went with it. The problems you had with it. Because Vista didn't look terrible.
What hardware compatibility?
So if Longhorn actually got prime time, it would have looked even better than Vista would have.
You know Vista was bad when you purchased hardware that had the certified with Vista sticker on it, and even that hardware didn't run it well. You know?
Yes, it didn't work.
It didn't work. And I remember the hardware, the resources required to make Vista run for the guys like me who jumped on the Vista bandwagon because it was new and decided, yeah, I'm going to put this on hardware that I've got here that's been running XP just fine. It was a total disaster.
Well, when the baseline is essentially take the recommended requirements and double that for Vista, that's bad.
That's bad.
Yep.
Oh, God.
It was bad for me, though. I think that's the shortest lived operating system I ever had installed on anything. Before my
going back to the subject of Windows, like on Windows 10, the arrow light theme is still there. It used to be there in Windows 8 when you couldn't use the arrow. And guess what it looks like in Windows 10 now? It pretty much just looks like the one from Windows 8, except for the back and forward buttons look more Windows 10-ish, and the close, maximize, and minimize buttons look very bloated now, since Microsoft made the close, maximize, and minimize buttons really big in Windows 10. So thanks to that, they now look really bloated in Windows 10. Light.
Well, all I can say about Windows 8 or 10 is Windows 8. Why did someone throw up the rainbow on my screen?
Yeah.
What? Like, Windows 10. Why did somebody take the screen and shrink it down and throw up on a smaller portion of my screen?
Even better about Windows 8, though. It's like the best part about Windows 8, though, is that guess when they got rid of Aero? Why at the last few RTM builds? Every build before that had Aero transparency in it. And then they just randomly got rid of it in the RTM builds. Oh my gosh. With you, Microsoft.
So speaking of Microsoft still, does anyone believe that their platinum buy-in to the Linux Foundation was a good thing, bad thing?
I'm indifferent because it's a business decision, and that's where they're going to make their money. So $500,000 to them is chump change. They make that back in like probably the time I finish this sentence.
Yeah, that's just like a token gift there.
So Going back to the subject of Windows Vista, well, at least there's a Windows version that's even worse than Windows ME. It's even worse than Vista. It's called Windows ME.
Oh yeah,
I had
It
that.
is. It is so unstable. BSOD was very common in that version. As in, it was meant to be what Windows XP eventually became, as in a replacement for Windows 95 and 98. But then, upon release, it was found out to be very, very buggy.
oh, it's terrible. It was terrible.
So Microsoft actually ended up extending Windows 98 support to the day Windows XP got released.
I was going to say, I believe I changed my boot menu picture to have Windows HE for Hell Edition because that's what it was like when it was running it.
So, were any of you guys Mac users?
No, too expensive.
Yes, too expensive.
Yep, same here.
I've run.
So,
I've run
what do you think of the latest MacBook 2016? Professional.
I actually saw one. You mean with the touch bar?
It's like couple words for it. No, it just has 4 lightning ports. Oh my gosh, Apple. What is wrong with you?
What are they at?
It's like
About
they got
$4
rid
grand
of
now?
every single port and they replaced it with 4 lightning ports. Face palm.
What do they go for?
Base is, I want to say, with the one with the touch bar is like 1,500. But if you want the one that actually
Yeah,
has,
and they
like
made it more expensive.
I was gonna say, if you want the one that actually you might be able to do work on, is like probably like $3,000. I think is like the base minimum. That's the one like with the dedicated.
Thank God the MacBook Air is still available.
I will never buy Apple hardware from Apple.
Thank God the MacBook Air is still undamaged from those restrictions, shall we call them, that they did to the 2016 MacBook Pro, and thank God that you can still get MacBook Airs.
For me, I always refuse to buy a Mac from Apple. I have a Mac kicking around. I just refuse to buy one from Apple because I don't think they deserve my money directly.
It's like, I know a good laptop though. The 7. It's like the best laptop to install Linux onto.
Well, I saw the new one that you're speaking of with the touch bar. I actually worked with a guy who forked out the cash for one, but everything he's got is it's got an Apple on it. It's got an Apple logo on it. And the touch bar portion was interesting. The concept behind it is when you have a particular application pulled up on your screen, then the touch bar that's just above the where your F1 through F12 keys would be changes according to the application that you have open.
So talking about the touch bar, guess what the laptop that Apple copied that touch bar from is one was pre-installed with? Windows Vista of all operating systems. The irony.
Unbelievable.
Like, there was actually a Windows Vista PC that had a similar thing to the touch bar way before the MacBook Pro 2016.
Well,
Also, another thing that Apple's done is that they've got rid of the glowing logo from the MacBook Pro 2016.
But that's their history, and if you look at both Microsoft and Apple, and you compare to some of the ingenuity in the Linux world, I mean, there have been ideas that have been taken, and let's face it, because it's Apple could change the color of something and make it square as opposed to round, and all of a sudden it's a phenomenal idea, and why didn't everyone do it? How Apple has the power to do something so simple with these simple changes, and then all of a sudden everyone in the tech world looks at it like it's the first time they ever saw it,
Because it's Apple. There's a reason it's called the cult of the fruit or cult of Apple.
Oh God! Even better, it's like Samsung, when they have exploding Note 7s all over the news. Apple, when they have exploding iPhone 6Ss. Only barely any news reports about it.
No, in fact, you get on the airplane and they go over the speaker, and if you have a Galaxy Note 7, please let us know. It has to be removed from the airplane. But no word of Apple.
So, also, another thing is that recently in the news, Samsung has now, in a new software update, to 30% on the Note 7. So,
Hey, I've got a question for
even
you.
better, though, is that there's a Note 7 ROM for the Note 6. And that also gets hit by the Note 7 things that Samsung's done to it, in order to try and get Note 7s in the Samsung, back to Samsung, because of everyone installs Note 7 ones to Note 6s.
There may be a few rogue Note 7s on eBay you can get really cheap right now.
Oh god, so talk about Note 7.
So you could say they're the bomb then.
Yeah. E-bomb. Oh god. So, talking about Note 7s, it's like TechCracks tried to make a Note 7 explode by putting it in a microwave for something like 300 then 500 degrees Celsius, and guess what? Nothing happened with it. It did everything it could to not explode, and it successfully didn't explode. So, any sign of a hoax there with all the reports of it exploding?
You know, it'll be one of those things that's too late. You know, there'll be a news cycle, and then they'll find out later that, oh, well, it really wasn't as bad as we thought. Hey, have any of you guys ever used, or do you know anyone who has purchased the System 76 Linux machine? You guys heard of System 76?
No.
No?
No.
No. I'll probably get a Dell Hybrid tablet laptop thing, if anything, next.
Check out System 76. Just go to their web, you just do a Google for System 76. They build computers specifically for Linux operating systems to be pre-installed.
Yeah,
Do you know they're specifically tested with Ubuntu though?
they're too expensive. I looked at them, and they look really cheap.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
didn't like it one bit.
I mean, if I were going to buy a computer now, and what is it? I'd just go buy a Windows-based computer and put Linux on it.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I'd straight away, I mean, before I even actually, I'd boot it up into Windows to make sure, you know, it was working. And then I just scrap the, you know, format the hard drive and put on a Linux distro. That's the cheapest and easy. Oh, you know, build it yourself. I mean, I tend to, because I get them through work now, my computers, I get them at a budget, you know, cost anyway. But I used to make them in the past, you know, buy the motherboard, CPU. So you've got the choice then to put what operating system you want on. You don't have to buy the OEM copy of Windows, you know, 7, 8, 10 or whatever. And I mean, that's the cheapest, you know, router, really. I mean, buy with Windows and take Windows off.
Yep.
Just go console it, Pete.
There's systems out there that run great with Linux.
I mean, what has anybody had a problem? Yeah, going from Windows to Linux. I mean, I especially nowadays. I mean, all the drivers seem to pick up a lot better. You know, in Linux than they do in Windows. I mean, I've had less problems with driver issues in Linux. I mean, I turn my printer on in Linux Mint, and it's just there. I mean, I don't have to go to Epson website or, you know, Canon website. It's there.
Yep.
No, the drivers work better in Linux than they do in Windows. The only thing you lose is certain options, because certain things, like, for example, the camera. I was telling Rob the other day that you can't go in and actually just set the settings for the camera, because there aren't, with all this Logitech doesn't make anything to work with Linux specifically.
You see, the thing is with that, I found out because I've got the Logitech 920 Pro. When I put on GUVC, I get an extra hidden menu, like an extra menu, which covers more than it does on Windows. Because I mean, I've tried this on my wife's machine. She's got a Windows 8.1 on it, and I downloaded the official Logitech software to obviously get all the the features then. And when I put GUVC on, instead of having 4 menus, one for video, one for audio, one for settings, I had 2 for video, and it was so that I could change the MPEG settings, and there was more extra features in there what I didn't find on Windows. So I mean, say because it's not specific, because the the webcam's made specifically for Windows. I mean, I actually had a look on the back of the box. I went into PC World. I said, will this camera work on Linux? And if it doesn't, can I bring it back? And they said, yeah, by all means. Plugged it in, and it picked it up straight away on GUVC. What is it? There was no problem. Whereas on Windows, I had to actually go download the driver from Logitech. It wouldn't pick it up automatically through the updates. I had to actually, physically go get the driver and do it that way for my life.
Well, with the 922, I had the exact opposite problem where when I started with the camera with Windows, it worked right out of the box. But when I came over into Linux, there was a lot of hesitation, a lot of just pausing. So I had to actually go into, like you said, one of the programs, the video programs, and set the settings specifically so that there wouldn't be any of that.
It's just, I mean, I find Linux far easier than any Windows installation. I mean, I can have an installation of, Peppermint up and running within 10 minutes and everything's fine. Whereas when I actually installed Windows 7 on the virtual machine to get previous to this stream, I was streaming on my channel, and I was doing a bit of music software. I set up a Windows 7 machine, and the Windows 7 machine, even in a virtual environment, took a while to set up. I know obviously it's a little bit slower, but I had to go through sort of loop to install a bloody thing. Whereas on Linux, I just find it so easy. I mean, and that's what I would do.
That's why we're distro hopping. So
That's right.
there's no way I'd do it. It was like setting up Windows 7 again,
Well, I could. I
used to be.
Sorry, Feren.
It's okay. You go first.
No, go on. No.
Okay. So I used to be a distro hopper on my old laptop. After Windows 10 kind of broke the BIOS by the battery dying partway through upgrading to a Windows 10 technical rebuild. Until then, so distros I tried were actually quite nice, and then last distro before it died I tried was and then basically last distro, and then I tried installing another distro and squad failed to install it, and then that's how. And then that combined with Elementary OS somehow breaking the boot order on my laptop, which used to be USB first, that it wasn't boot from USB first anymore. So it then basically became useless. Basically, I can't actually get it to get booting into the live CD anymore. So that's how I came about having this one now. And this is why I'm practically sat on a single operating system, a dual boot, so because I don't want that to happen again.
I mean, the other thing about Linux and Windows, you can't install Windows to a USB. I mean, unless you can use Windows to go or whatever. And these ways,
you can trick it in VMware to think it's a hard drive, but then you also need to install the drivers manually and patch Windows Boot Manager to not every portable device on boot, which otherwise would cause a BSOD because once ejected, it couldn't find the files anymore for Windows and would simply crash because of the lack of files.
Do we have any other questions?
Somebody asked about React OS.
That's a weird one, isn't it? React. I mean, it's like a Windows
Yeah.
NT. They've used the old NT kernel and the sort of platform, so that it's compatible or semi-compatible with Windows. I have tried it, and I mean I've tried running programs in it, and I've not got obviously anything modern to work on it. So it's sort of like going back again. You're going back a few years for your sort of
It's
Windows.
definitely reactive when it comes to BSODs. See what I did there?
I've been tempted to try it, but every time I go and I look at the page and I read over things, I'm like, no, I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah. So from what I've seen, it's very crash prone. It's kind of like Windows Me when it comes to crashes.
Yeah. Yeah, then that would not be a fun experience.
Yeah.
I guess
Ubuntu mate, that's all you need, man.
Oh,
Ubuntu Mate.
Well, you know what? Ubuntu Mate has a lot of.
So, hey guys, do any of you carry around a flash drive with a particular distro on it, just in case you run into a situation where you run from one that you've got an opportunity to show? Yep, there you go. I carry one around with me all the time. And David, guess what it's got on it?
Ubuntu Mate.
You got it. You got it.
Rob, you know that's a sign of.
I got.
Oh wow.
The
Yeah, I got. Actually, I do have one.
Ubuntu Mate.
In the dictionary of DHA, that's a sign of it.
Oh yeah, it must be on Mate desktop.
Ubuntu Mate seems legit.
Well, family members, including my dad, I installed Linux on his a couple years ago, and he's tried them all. He's went with me as far as like when I try a distro, he'll try it as well. And he's been on KDE and loved KDE, but man, I installed Ubuntu Mate on his computer, and he absolutely loves it. He said that he would never go back to KDE.
Oh gosh, Big Daddy, you know what that reminds me of? So what that reminds me of? Timer, as if like this guy gets his mom to test out operating systems.
Oh yeah, well he's not as brave as I am as far as testing out things. He wants things to be stable, but he's going with me on quite a few. And like I said, he wouldn't go away from Ubuntu Mate now.
I know the channel you're talking about, Feren. There's a young man. Is he from the UK? Where he says,
I think he's in Australia right now.
Australia, okay. And so he's got his mother involved in all the different distros
and his dad's recently too.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the first video though, it's like mom's just sitting there thinking, what the hell is this OS? When she's just looking at Windows 8.
Well,
was being suddenly just asked to give it a try out of nowhere by her child.
I actually wiped Windows 10 off my wife's laptop. She has a Dell, pretty generic Dell laptop, and gave her some time to use it. I set the system up with Ubuntu Mate, and she has been running that for months now. And she's a teacher, and so she has to have Office program, set up LibreOffice. Actually, I set up both WPS Office as well as LibreOffice, thinking that she would prefer WPS. In the end, she came back and said, no, Libre does a much better job. She said, you can get rid of WPS Office. I don't use it. But I've been expecting complaints. I've been expecting, hey, this did not work. She hooked it up to her projector she uses at school, and we had enough time there to go in and get that all working. She figured that part out herself, and she's had zero complaints. And I said, if you ever want to go back to Windows, let me know. And she said, I don't see that happening. She said, this does everything I need it to do, which is phenomenal. you take someone who's never used another operating system other than Windows, and so that's a testimony right there.
Well, I think
Wait,
Mate brings settings to the table that other ones don't. That makes it easy for the newer users, but it's not as overwhelming as KDE is, because KDE, just the sheer settings of it can be overwhelming to somebody. But it brings enough settings where you can customize it really well, and yet it looks modern, and yet it's able to be used by a new user. So I think that's what it brings.
So, little Quest, I have a question for you. Once the stream is ended, do I have permission to re-upload this on my channel?
As far as I know, what I can do is once it has finished processing on the Google server side, on the YouTube side, then I can download the video and share it with everyone. I can send you a link, and as far as I know, there's no issue. Matt, can you speak to that? You mentioned something one time.
So what?
Can you speak to that, Matt? If we download the video here, that once we finish with the stream, we're going on, what, an hour and a half now?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, so it'll take it a while to process. But once that happens, then I can download the video and then share a link with everyone, and then you can put it on the channel. If you mentioned at one time that YouTube knocked you for that or something, is that the case?
I'm not 100% sure how these would work. I know the best way would be, once it's done processing, download it locally to you, then probably upload it to Google Drive.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you'll get a link that you can share the file with for everybody that they can download.
Yeah, and actually,
I mean, there are applications like YouTube Downloader and all that crap too. So I mean, there's that way.
So, talking about cloud storage, does anyone have OneDrive here?
I do.
Yeah, because I have the OneDrive-D client on my Linux installed to be able to sync OneDrive with Linux. And it actually works quite well.
Yeah, I use InSync for my Google Drive. I don't know if any of you get a paid service to get the premium or plus edition, whatever they call it, but it works extremely well if you use Google Drive to sync your docs and everything.
All right, John, I'm gonna have to wrap it up right here.
All right, David.
All right.
Dave.
Have a good rest of the day. I gotta get up out of here. Yeah, I'll chat with y'all now. I know how to work this Hangout thing. I'll be able to do this more.
Have a good
All
one.
right, Joe. I'm
Later.
out.
So,
How do you turn it off?
There's a giant end leave. There's a giant leave
There
button.
is a leave call button on the right of the middle bar.
Without letting you go.
I'll put tape over this. There.
Yeah. The one that looks like end call is actually leave call.
All right, y'all. I gotta go.
See you.
Bye now.
we can wrap this up anytime you guys want. I mean, we had no agenda here. We just wanted to get together and start chatting and that kind of thing. Do we have any other questions?
Somebody asked if any of us use encryption to encrypt the drive, like the home folder and stuff.
No, I don't.
No.
No.
I've never tried that.
It means that it's slightly easier for me to actually be able to access it on the live CD.
And somebody also asked about Puppy Linux.
Don't use it.
Puppy is
So
one.
also, someone else also asked about why distro hop? Why not just the hop?
Well, one of them asked about, it's a sign when you distro hop, it's a sign of a new user. But I disagree, because I think that's the whole part of it, that you have different desktop environments, and none of them have everything that you're looking for. And that's kind of why you distro hop, and then the next desktop environment comes out, the next distro. So you want to see what changes they've made and if it's going to suit your needs better. So I think it's a... Go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say, I agree. A lot of the distro hopping that people like, Rob, all of us who test distros and try to find different homes, so to speak, it's it's not just the desktop environment, because you can change the underlying, Linux style, be it Fedora, be your base, all you want. It's once you start venturing outside of those, you're looking at different desktops. Then you start looking at different, distros base. Fedora is going to be different than Arch. Ubuntu is going to be different than even Debian or Mint or any of these other ones. The way that the distros are all put together, there's always going to be something that's different with each one, and that's why a lot of us do distro hat.
Hey, Size says Cortana shot down live stream. So, has anyone here heard of the meme Cortana was to do Bonzi body?
Has everybody? Is somebody using Windows? Get off! Go on! Go away!
Are you doing this through Windows?
This is the Linux users going, get off our lawn.
I spit in your face. You Windows scum.
So, has anyone seen the meme Cortana was to do Bonzi body?
No. To answer Hades' Eyes question, so distro hopping is only related to theming. No, it's not relating to theming. What I'm saying, a lot of us are saying, is it's not just the theming. Sometimes having default apps installed is a nice thing. Like, I don't have to run out and install VLC on some distros where you would on others. Default apps do play a key to some of it, but it is also for each user and use case. So the reason we do this, at least speaking for me anyway, is that I do this because I want to know which distro will potentially work best for either a family member, a customer. There's a lot of, I'm not going to give someone an Arch-based distro, even if they are quote unquote easier to use. That's just not the area of distros that I would put someone on. So default applications are important, but for people who distro hop, I don't think it's the thing that keeps us on a distro, because we're just like, oh, we can install it from the repository of whatever distro we're on. So we don't necessarily see that as a driving factor. We see it as like, we like to play with the latest and greatest. It's like people who like to tinker with, build PCs or that kind of stuff. So that's my take on that. Maybe
I think part of it is certainly the personality of the person. So a long time ago, I was one who wanted to go into all of the settings of whatever software I was working with, whatever the OS was, and I wanted to turn things on, turn things off, get kind of deeper into settings and see what happened if I did this or did that. And then as I got into gaming, my ultimate goal in gaming and building my own computer gaming rigs was to squeak out the most processing power that I could possibly get for my games. I was upgrading graphics cards. And that's all just in my personality to kind of go down this discovery process. And Linux has an GNU/Linux as a whole means well to anyone who has that kind of, I think, natural trait to be inquisitive about what's going on, whether that's from the desktop environment, whether that's from a theming perspective, whether that's from a underlying kernel perspective. I've chatted with a few people who get deep into kernels and what all's going on with the kernel and knows more about the happenings of the Linux kernel than I ever would have dreamed about knowing. And I think Linux lends itself, or calls people who have that personality trait to discover and to learn innovation.
We are back.
Linux is perfect because
hang on,
ever evolving.
Well, I think also it comes down to, like Matt touched on it, about different desktop environments, where, every desktop environment has its own menu. So every menu runs differently. So you got to get the best one for you, not only for you, but you got to get the best one for whoever you're going to install this. Like for me, I like like I said, I have my dad who has followed me through desktops, and I got to get not only the best one for me, but I got to get the best one for him that's going to work for him. So I think that's part of the reason why the whole distro hopping is.
Somebody in the chat just mentioned something about they agree if you mean distro hopping is used for different distros for different uses. That really is part of it, but a lot of it's our exploratory nature and the fact that we like to explore technology. I mean, that's part of a lot of the people who distro hop are distro hop. I hate the term hobbyist because that is such a I hate that term. But
the thing is, what is it? In the chat here, somebody said I think it was sort of previous, maybe about 5 minutes ago. They actually said, "Why don't we just choose a distro and change the desktop environment?" Well, yeah, all well and good, but you're just going to get the basic desktop environment, whether it be GNOME or the Mate desktop. It's what people do with that desktop environment what makes it sort of unique. I mean, one Mate desktop is completely different from another Mate. They're not exactly the same. They might sort of have a different theming. They might, have more software on. And as a distro hopper, you want to look at the potential of that particular operating system and say, well, what differs from the usual desktop environment, the usual Mate desktop? I mean, we can always download a vanilla Ubuntu and put, whatever desktop environment we want on top of that. But it's what the distros do. I mean, for instance, Feren OS, it's completely different. If you look at Linux Mint Cinnamon, I don't like Linux Mint Cinnamon whatsoever. I think it's an ugly looking, distribution. Whereas it's quite. When I chose Feren, I didn't actually realise it was cinnamon when I first looked at it. I thought cinnamon can't be this beautiful. It's got to be pig ugly cinnamon, and that's why I don't.
Hi, Jody. Sorry, Jody James is on the chat.
Oh, right, okay. Hi, Jody. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I mean, it's what somebody does with the particular desktop environment. We all know that there's a basic, Fedora or Arch or whatever under there, and there's only a certain amount of desktop environments, Budgie, whatever, thing. It's what the people or the development team do with that.
Yeah. On the subject of themes, does anyone here have use themes that are made by L Bulletsoul? Like, for example, Windows 10, macOS, themes like
that. You see, then you're going back to thing, aren't you? I mean, if you want to have a distribution what looks similar to either Windows or the Mac thing, I mean, you can use any desktop environment, really, and there's somebody who's out there who's made a theming for Mate or Cinnamon or whatever. I don't. That's the thing. I think I had this argument with Rob before, where he was using KDE, and he said I like using KDE because it looks like Windows, with bells on. Now I don't like using KDE because it reminds me too much of Windows. I mean, they all do really. Every OS, pretty much looks the same. We've got a menu in the left-hand side there. We click on it, and it pops up with the programs. But do you want to have sorry, go on.
Wait until you get Tiles menu on it, and then it'll look seriously like Windows 10.
Well, I want to get as far away as from especially Windows 10 and Windows 8 look. Yeah, the Windows 7 look is. I mean, that's what everybody complained about with Windows 8. Everybody was using Windows 7. We had a nice start menu. It was easy to access. And then they put this massive tile menu up on Windows 8. What was bloody pig ugly. People were getting confused. Do I use the tiles? What do I use the text bit? I know 8 was sort of more orientated towards touch screens, so that you could actually touch a little icon and open up a program. But people, what they should have done with Windows 8. on install, they should have said, are you installing it on a tablet, or are you installing it on a touch device, or are you just basically using it like you used to do? And that's what spoiled it.
That reminds me of fixing Windows 8, as if like that set of concepts by a guy that are decent. It's like how Windows 8 could be adapted for the desktop, and then how they could be a tablet mode that was separate from it. So,
you see, I detest Windows now. I mean, I don't think I've only got one machine in the house has Windows, and I'm just waiting for it to break so that I can actually buy a new computer or put Linux on it. I'm not going to reinstall Windows.
Yeah, well, I'm not a Windows hater, so I do like certain aspects of Windows and what they look like. So I don't want to get completely away from Windows, but then again, when I'm running Linux, I use it set up. I usually set it up so that it doesn't quite resemble. It's like a mix, you know what I mean, where it doesn't quite resemble Windows, where it's different. But some of the features in Windows are nice. Just simple as that. Like the way the menu is set up. Every menu that we have, okay, not every menu. Most normal menus in Linux are set up based on a Windows 7 type menu. So the start was good. It's just that I just don't like everything about Microsoft. So
So going back to the subject of Windows and theming, Borso and I are actually collabing to basically do something that's never been seen on Linux before, and that's porting all of the Longhorn themes to Linux, so you can actually get a Longhorn look and feel on Linux.
Somebody not to sidetrack, but somebody mentions that too much choice can be a bad thing. How do you guys feel about this whole oversaturation of argument that's always made when people bring up, fragmentation or oversaturation, call it whatever you want?
Well, I don't think oversaturation is a problem unless you're a distro hopper. Because choices are good.
The 5 people here.
You're right. I mean, choice is always a good thing, and when you have this much choice that like we have in Linux, you're gonna have to do research on your own to see what's best for you. But you don't want a market where you only got. I mean, would you want to go back to a market where you only had Windows and Mac, or just Windows? So oversaturation is good as far as there's a lot of distros, there's a lot of forks. And there may be questions on why it's that way, but when you realize why it's that way, it's a good thing.
I was going to say
Moodin 74 asks, do you like all the compies effects on Linux? I like wobbly windows here.
Coming from a Windows background, just to tell, I'm nearly 11 months into my Linux distro now, and before that, I'd sort of dabbled in Linux. I run it in sort of the opposite way. I ran Linux in a virtual machine on Windows, but I never sort of kept up. But the first thing what I noticed was compies was with the wobbly windows. And I thought, oh, this is nice. It's sort of like, with bells on. Yeah, it was like Windows with bells on. You had all these special effects, and I thought, wow, fire effects and all this. Why can't you do this in Windows? It was just, it was really nice to see that Linux did this. We do wobbly windows. Now I've got wobbly windows on. I just hate it. It's just like it's just so Linux.
At least you can customize it in Compy's config tool.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a nice thing. With Windows, the only thing what you can do really with Windows, even with additional programs, is change the color. I know they do sort of different desktop environments on Windows, but they've never really taken off. Most people who use Windows use the basic Windows Microsoft, setup. They don't sort of had any sort of additional theming. They're just like that, the start menu in the bottom left there, or the top wherever you put it, and that's it.
I still remember Windows 10 when the only option for the toolbar colors was either white or get a custom theme that had colored tile bars on it.
Yeah. I think the attractiveness for me personally about Linux, and I think more people than we realize the attractiveness to Linux is the choice. Uh, you know, if we were all to sit here and talk about one particular or two particular things that we really liked about Linux, my guess is we may be similar on one or two things, but we all have our reasons for why we use it the way we do. And for me, I think the biggest one thing I would point to is the choice. It doesn't mean you have to. You've got companies there you can get into wobbly windows and that kind of thing, but you don't have to. And for that choice for Big Daddy to use it the way he likes to use it, and Sudo and Matt and Feren and all of us to use it the way we like to use it is awesome. And I don't know where else you get that kind of choice. I certainly don't see it in Mac and Windows, and I think that's where the interest lies, guys. It blows my mind the number of people who watch all of our channels and, like us, have an interest in what's going on with particular distros. I never would have dreamed that there are that many people that share that similar interest. It's amazing to me, and I think, again, that choice is the reason behind that. Whether it's the choice in the OS, the choice in the desktop, the choice in the theming or the effects, on down the line.
Well,
Matt, you brought it up.
That microphone is awful.
It is.
It's terrible.
I'm going to switch.
Matt, you brought it up. So what's your take on it?
My take as far as the whole thing about too much choice, I think it's kind of how do I say that? It's probably a point that is too much driven home by people who don't understand what they're using.
Do you not think there's more choice in general now?
No. Like what I mean is, like, if you look at Linux, you take away, you focus on a couple of desktops. What are the two major ones? Okay, so you want to eliminate some of the choice. Two major ones are going to be known KDE. What are your base distros? Understand what the core base distros are, and you pretty much solve 90% of Linux. So to me, I think it's a disingenuous argument, I guess, that it's too fragmented, it's oversaturated, blah, 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 blah. There's like 7 core distros. You use 2 desktop environments, and that's pretty much all they need to know.
Yeah, but I think them questions come from, newer people. Like, for example, my dad gave me the same question. Why are there so many distros? Why are there so many choices? But that comes from not realizing why there is a choice. So when you make something and you put it as open source, I can then take it and say, you know what? I'm going to add this little feature to it. And it just builds from there. And that's why you have so many choices. And that's a good thing, because then you have as Sudo was talking about, you have everybody's different take on what it should be. And, you have artistic creation in it where people add this certain thing or that certain thing. And that's where you get it just builds from there. And that's where you get all the choice. And that's what's great about it.
That is definitely what's great about it. What I'm saying is, I always hate this argument about the theoretical new user, because let's be honest, how many people in any of our families have gone out and willingly searched Linux? Let's be honest.
Right.
It is always the tech. It is always the tech guy. It is always the family computer whiz. It is always, the geek, the system admin, the hobbyist. Call it whatever you want. The simple fact of the matter is, it's always one of us that are always helping other people, which are the generic end users, make their electronic choices, their hardware choices, their OS choices. So part of our job, if we're doing it for business, if we're doing this to help people, whatever our reasons, is to help them narrow down the choices. And this is where I take issue with a lot of people on YouTube that are like, "Oh, there's too much fragmentation. Linux sucks because of it." It's like a straw man to me. It is really a straw man argument. If I simply tell somebody, "Here are your 3 choices. These are what I know works best for you," you're going to point them in a distro that works best for them. You're not going to suggest, "Oh, go run Linux from scratch."
Hence the reason why we're distro hoppers.
Exactly.
Going back to the choice, I mean, my parents before me and my grandparents, it's like the food. I mean, we have sort of exotic food now, so we have like bananas are sort of something what we see every day, in a supermarket. Whereas, sort of going back, 60 years ago, a banana was something special. So food is, we've got extra choice in food now. We've got extra choice in, everything. I mean,
Right.
there was always sort of only certain jobs. The actual amount of jobs now have sort of got wider and more diverse. So it's not just Linux. It's life in general. It's got more complex. If we only had 2 operating systems, then you would, or 2 pieces of fruit to choose from, you wouldn't be worried about anything else. You'd only have those 2 fruits or those 2 Linux operating systems. But we have got choice, and this is, I mean, it might seem bewildering, the choice. I mean, you might have 100 or 200 Linux distros, but only 5 of those are actually, worth sort of using at any one given time as maybe a daily driver. It's just that you as a distro hopper, you want to, choose, to see if there's anything around that corner, what's new. You're not sort of willing to put up with a banana, if you see what I mean.
Hey guys, I just found another change in Cinnamon 3.2. Turns out that, if you right-click on Sound Output now, you now get the choice of having applications separate for you.
Oh, cool. Hey, is my audio any
That's
better?
much better, dude.
Yeah. What was that microphone, Rob? It was absolutely rubbish.
I'm still using the mic. It was the setting. It was the user setting up the settings.
Picnic. Problem in chair, not in computer.
User error, Rob?
User error. If I knew someone that had some kind of technology background that could help me out with this stuff from time to time.
Are you going to blame it on Ubuntu? Or?
Basically, everyone on the stream.
I was going to say, now you wouldn't be pointing a finger, 1, 2, 3. You wouldn't be pointing 4 different fingers at 4 different people now.
User error. Okay, I'm going to put an L right here just for. Oh, well, now that you guys can stand to hear me talk, I apologize for not having this set up with the audio like it was. But this is the kind of thing. This discussion that we're having is the kind of thing that I'm sure each of us individually through our channels we see from various people who are, as you say, Matt, quote, new users, people migrating over from Windows, or people who just have an interest, as well as people who've been running Linux for a long time. You do get all kinds of different takes, but at the end of the day, they have an interest. Whether that interest is pertaining to theming, whether that is the desktop interest. And for me, that's the encouraging part. My thought is the more people who are using Linux, the better off we all are. Because what will happen is you're going to bring development talent. You're going to have people like Feren here who, and I have a question for you, Feren, about why you decided to start your own distro. And I really am interested in that. But the more people we get involved, the better, because you get more talent who now have their thoughts and eyes turned to the Linux world. And so at the end of the day, we all benefit from that.
Incidentally, Jody said a Bluetooth problem, Rob.
Yes, I would agree. Hey, if I was on Arch right now, man, you guys would be blown away by how good this sounds.
Always
Rob,
wanted to make the operating system. And at first I actually found Linux from scratch, but that looked a bit too complicated. And then in Tray 13, my aunt actually told me about Ubuntu, and then I revisited in something like Tray 14 or Tray 15, and then saw the fact they could make distributions off of Ubuntu easily, and then simply just kept doing that, and that's how FenOS was born.
So that's
making a shelf Windows, which looks similar to this. So, and I always wanted to make an operating system. So then I ended up actually making an operating system out of that shell, based off the design of that shell.
So what was it that that first kind of snapped with you to say, hey, I mean, are you someone who has always been into Linux, or, I mean, from our conversation, you've been around Windows, you've been around all kinds of, but what was it? Was there one thing that made you say, wake up one morning and say, this is what I want to do, and here's why I want to do it?
So I just one day decide for practically making an operating system.
I mean, the nice thing about the operating system, what
Feren
Feren's doing, is bloody beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, as I say, I've had problems with Feren, the operating system, not Feren, the developer. I've just lost my earplug. The operating system, I wanted to install it on base metal, and it was so beautiful.
Yeah, I don't
looking.
actually get that board here, so I don't actually know what causes it, which package causes it, or anything like that.
Yeah, the mouse problem.
So I can't actually see it.
The mouse. Can you not plug maybe a mouse into the laptop? You know, even if it's just a wired one. I mean, I only have.
We do have mice, but the only ones I've really found and tested it with is wireless ones, and they seem to work fine.
Yeah, you see, I mean, I've got a wireless mouse here, and it's only on your Feren OS that this happens. It goes jerky. I've tried, Arch and Fedora's, OpenSUSE, everything on base metal, and it's been, fine. The mouse. It's just, that sort of. I mean, even Linux Mint, what yours is based on, it's fine with. It's just the Feren. I can't understand why.
Yeah, I might probably see if you could probably be a bit of a guinea pig and probably try uninstalling and see package separately, rebooting in between and uninstalling packages that I installed first, see which one is actually causing the problem.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the update. Either the update 2 or the the new 2017 to give it a whirl to see if it's still got if I still have the mouse problem. Hopefully, I won't have.
Yeah. The only change I need to do now before it can actually become RTM is basically just updating the default user settings. Oh wow! Haydai says, I think FenOS was developed to cure people from distro hopping. Smiley face.
Nice. Nice.
Oh wow.
While I agree, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work for the 4 of us that are sitting on it.
It's a failed concept. Just saying.
Just for us.
Yeah.
No, that's quite a good compliment, actually.
It is.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Are there any other questions in the chat room?
Well, there's somebody who says basically they think that Deepin is one of the best looking looking distros. I mean,
oh god,
what does people?
Has he seen Kudsop's video of desktop December Deepin? So because when he tried to the window by dragging it down, it caused a memory leak from the looks of it. Every time he tried it, memory leaks.
Oh, dear.
No, I haven't seen that. You know, there are so many things about the Deepin desktop that are appealing, and I think a large part of that is because they spent a tremendous amount of time on a cohesive look, on polish, and you've got the side panel that pops out, and they've done a lot of things there that are really different, radically different than what you're going to find on your, you know, your typical distro. And I think that's very appealing to a lot of people.
The only true downside to Deepin is that on its current package, its dependencies mean that if you try to install any other desktop environment, you have to get rid of Deepin in the process.
Yeah, I could see
that. As in, if you try to install any other desktop environment, it says packages to be removed. Deepin desktop environment.
So you lose the actual Deepin what you originally wanted.
Yeah, if you try to install other desktop environments alongside it.
I was going to say, I think Rob and I had this discussion a while ago. Rob, what is the ideal desktop environment that you and I have discussed as far as like look and feel?
The ideal. Well, we talk a lot about Deepin.
I was going to say because we talk about.
I really love the software center on Deepin. Too bad that when I actually tried to implement it in Feren OS, it had a decomp saying that was missing. That meant that it wasn't actually one.
I was going to say, because Rob and I have talked about Deepin quite a bit, actually. The things, like Rob mentioned, like the pop out of the system settings when you drag down the side, that is one of the features that I think gives it a different vibe, a different modern look, almost. I'm not a fan of the menu structure because it's still too GNOME layout for me. Sorry for those on the panel here that like GNOME, just not my shtick.
I don't know. Is there anybody on the panel that likes GNOME?
Joe Panico says, what do you think will be the best gaming distro? I think probably SteamOS definitely fall in.
Windows.
And also he asks,
yes,
what is the best business distro?
Rel? I mean,
gaming is probably SteamOS Windows, definitely.
If you're talking strictly Linux, whatever the supported version that Steam has currently is. So it would be SteamOS, and I believe they support Ubuntu. The two distros. Yeah. As far as business, that's kind of an open-ended, like.
Red Hat, probably?
I was going to say, you know, CentOS, RHEL. I mean, are you talking ones that are, you know, need corporate support, or it depends on what you're really talking about for that one. So that's kind of an open-ended question.
I've had mixed results with Steam. I tried Steam through Manjaro. I've tried, you know, various Steam setups, and I think Steam OS would be the way to go if that's your main goal, your main objective. You know, what I've been on the search for, actually here recently, are Linux games that are, you know, designed to run on Linux. And I found a few first-person shooters. You've got Xenotic and a couple of other games that run really well, play really well. I would love to see more development where it's native on Linux, not through Steam, but native on Linux. You know, whether that day will ever come, who knows? But that's, again, where I go back to I want to see more focus on Linux, more people using Linux, because that's the way you get a developer's attention. You know, that developer is going for numbers.
Yes, there's another channel, Das Geek, has been doing some videos on gaming on Linux, and it's just, and there's a whole discussion going on about it, about why developers don't make their games for Linux, but it's basically because there's not enough demand yet. Even as much as Linux is out there, there's not enough demand to gain the attention of the developers to say, I want to make this game right out of the box work on Linux. Now, some of them have done it afterwards, but until that happens, and the more we talk about it, the more people use it, the more attention it will get, and it's just a building process to get to the point where the developers will say, hey, yeah, we definitely want to make this on work on Linux out of the box so that we can get more people. It's all about money. It's basically about money.
And as much as the Linux community doesn't like to talk about the evil corporate ends of things, do realize how much of the kernel is done by corporation and people that work for said corporations.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's all about the bottom dollar. As much as you might be the RMS type, and that's just how you want things, not the reality of the world, unfortunately.
Well, let's take a look at Red Hat and SUSE Linux. I mean, you think about their corporate side, their enterprise side. That's what's kept them in the game as strong as they are for so long. If with Red Hat wouldn't be the size they are without that corporate involvement and the almighty dollar being involved.
Yep.
I was saying, when you're a $2 billion company.
Right. That's right. But I would love to see it because it would be phenomenal. That's and being a gamer back in the day, that's what a big part of what kept me on Windows, because that's where the gaming action was. If you wanted to play Unreal Tournaments, you were playing that on Windows.
Well, it's like Battlefield 1. I play that now, and it's definitely not going to work on Linux. So
right.
That's why I dual boot.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm with you. I'm one of those evil people who still have a Windows side of things. Sorry, as much as I love Linux, I have over almost 500 games on Steam, and only 150 of them work on Linux. I am sorry, that is an investment of money to me.
You can get one.
It's all down to money again, you see.
It is.
It's actually Matt's money.
It is my money.
Yeah.
For more games for Windows.
Yes, but it's about money, but it's also about enjoyment too, because you bought all those games because you wanted to try them, you liked them, or whatever reason. So you want to be able to enjoy them now too, and you can't on every game with Linux. So you more or less, if you're a gamer, you have to have a Windows installation.
Here's how I do it. The ones that I can play on Linux, those 150 or so that I have available to me on Linux, those are the ones I play on Linux. Those I do not touch on Windows. Those that are not even remotely installed on my Windows partition. But the ones that I cannot, and I'm sorry, Wine is not a solution. Play on Linux is not a solution.
Play on Linux?
I don't view Wine or Play On as a solution.
It works for me.
Well, there's certain things that it will work for, but there's certain things that, I mean, it takes hours to set it up sometimes.
Virtual machine.
Yes, but so for me, as much as the Linux community likes to bemoan me for being the practicality type of user, sorry, use the tools that are best for the job. Simple as that.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not dual booting Windows now. I don't have a need to, but if I did, I would not. I would agree with that. I would say use the best tool for the job, and I'm happy that I've been able to use Linux day in, day out without relying on Windows at all. I'm glad of that, but I wouldn't feel bad about dual booting at all. I mean, if you've got a reason to dual boot, and we see that, guys, in our channels, we see people asking about dual booting, and the reason that that's still happening is that there's something going on in Windows that they can't achieve in Linux, is my guess. There's a particular tool that they have to use. Maybe it's something work related. A lot of times it's game related. We see that a lot.
Fully go with it.
Yeah, but again, it comes back to the money. Because if they really wanted to, the developers could make the games work for Linux. It's just they don't want to invest the time and the amount of effort that it's going to take to make it work with Linux and not receive the payback for that.
This is, if you're specifically talking about Linux, games coming to Linux, this is why you have companies like Aspire and Feral doing all the porting for those games that are native, because the developers themselves find it easier to throw it out to a third-party port house. And don't get me wrong, I am not belittling the work that the guys at Feral and I am very appreciative of that. But the simple fact of the matter is, it's I do take issue with the developers not thinking cross-platform from the start. That I do take issue with, but that's a completely different subject.
Well, I've got another question. Have you guys noticed an uptick, and maybe it's just that I have searched it out, have you guys noticed an uptick in a lot of open source software? And I think a large part of this is the reason that what I'm about to explain is happening is a lot of open source software has gone totally cross-platform and has really found its way to kind of shine in the spotlight. And it's a big part, I think, due to Android.
Yeah.
And so, there's applications like SimpleNote, for example, and some of these, I call them Linux tools. Some of these are totally cross-platform, and I love finding quality apps like that are cross-platform. And again, open source is what's behind all of that, a large percentage of the time. And I can't imagine as a developer you're spending all this time and effort, and maybe you've got a team of people. How do you monetize that? Because at the end of the day, you got to pay the bills. And if you're putting all that focus and all that effort and all that time into a quality app that's cross-platform, you've got to get paid for that at some point, or you should. But I think that having more apps cross-platform, more people coming to Linux because they see that there are more cross-platform apps to take advantage of. If I can use something on my Android phone and there's a Linux desktop version for it, that's like a Christmas present.
Yep, absolutely.
Are you guys finding anything out there that you see that's, or maybe you're not looking for it, but...
Well, I'm not exactly looking for it, but I would say that I usually, the first thing in my mind when I look for something is, how are these people getting paid? Because that's usually the motives, or behind the goal, there's a motive, and that's what I'm looking. Maybe it's the cynical part in me, but I'm always looking to see how somebody's getting paid so that I can see what they're actually going after. So
the thing is, coming from a Windows background, the first thing what I looked at was what software were I using on Windows. So like VLC player, I used that on Windows, probably, purely because you don't need all the codecs downloading. They're already there in some kind of folder on Windows. So as soon as I came over to Linux, I thought, I wonder if there's VLC on Linux. Typed it in. Well, hey, VLC is there. If it is sort of cross-platform, and you're coming from a Windows background like I do, it was great to see that the software's not going to change. It's no different on Linux than it is on Windows. It does exactly the same process. The codecs are within the actual program itself. You don't have to download any additional codecs, like you do like you would in Windows. So there was no codec downloading. And I mean, there's plenty of programs. I mean, like OBS. OBS was obviously initially a thing, but now it's a multi-thing. There's quite a few programs what are, cross-platform, what I used to use on Windows, which I'm quite happy that they are on Linux. And the other thing was that I wouldn't even think about donating on Windows. So I was on a Windows platform and I just used VLC willy-nilly. So I wouldn't even, think about donating to it. But now I'm on Linux, and sort of software is sort of free, not in the respect of, it's still free. It was still free on Windows, but I'm quite willing to donate to it now that I'm on Linux. Just knowing that it is available on Linux, I can still use that program, what I was using on Windows in the past, that I can use it, still in the future on Linux. So I'm quite willing to, even if it's only a small donation, it helps them out.
Yeah, but I think the mindset change there, Sudo, is not just the programming, but it's when you're on Windows, you're paying for basically any decent, okay, not any decent, but most good programs you have to pay for on Windows. So you're constantly paying for Windows itself, and then you're paying for all these programs. So you're always on the hunt for a free program. So your mindset is looking for free. But when you come to Linux and it is free, and you find all of these great applications that are free, then your mindset changes and you're no longer looking for the free app. You're saying, oh my gosh, I'm actually getting this for free. And that's where it comes into effect. Maybe I should donate.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you develop an appreciation for what's going on there. You develop appreciation over time for the work that went into the app. And I've found some things on Linux, and I'll just use, for example, Kden Live, for example, for video editing. I've really come to enjoy that more and more the more I learn about it, of course, and have developed a tremendous appreciation for it compared to, I started thinking back with the various software programs on Windows outside of, before Microsoft came out with their media creator or whatever they call it. You had Power Media and all these other apps that were very expensive applications for what they were. And now I'm using completely free Kden Live, which is very powerful with all kinds of transitions and things. You can go in and edit the audio, so on and so forth. And for that, I appreciate it. And I'm willing to donate a few bucks there. And if enough of us do that, it's going to make a difference.
Well, if everybody just donated a little bit, I mean, VLC, I wouldn't even entertain because I'd paid for the operating system, and any decent, like Rocco says, any decent software, what you want for Windows, you have to pay for. They don't do a free alternative. You might get a trial for 30 days, and then after the 30 days, it's all crippled. You have to uninstall it. Or you can't do, you can't do that. Whereas on Linux, it does put your mindset differently. I mean, I'm quite a tightwad. I don't like spending my money. I'm a Yorkshireman, and the money doesn't like to flow out of my pocket. But I'm quite willing to donate to a Linux-based, even though it is cross-platform. That's my mindset has completely changed. I'm thinking, well, this OBS I use for streaming on YouTube, and I'm not paying anything for it. I should give that developer, a little bit of dosh, because otherwise, without him developing or even creating that program, we wouldn't have a platform to use.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. I was going to say, basically, you should reward people for supporting the platform that all of us on here, all of our stuff work with. It is a lot of the mindset thing. Windows is, okay, I have to pay for everything in this environment. Whereas it's almost like an iOS thing. Everything on iOS is essentially you pay for. Go over to Android. How many ad-based or free, quote-unquote, versions of, different applications are there? You have to change up your mindset when you switch to a different platform.
Yeah, but it's like almost a full-time job with Windows, looking for free apps.
It is.
and then it's like when you come to Linux, it's like Scrooge at Christmas. It's everything changes. Your whole mindset changes.
And you're right. The process of finding good free apps on Windows is a scary proposition because you always wind up on some bizarre website, that you're not quite sure if what you're downloading is going to infect you or cause some issue with a pop-up that you can't get rid of, or totally change what happens when you open your browser. Or during the install process, by the way, we've installed 4 other things that we didn't warn you to uncheck before you went through the install process, and now all of a sudden you've got 4 apps. One of them which wants to reach out and make contact with all of your address book contacts. By the way,
wait, you didn't see that 1 pixel by 1 pixel checkbox?
Oh god. So, on the subject of dish show making, so I'll definitely do everything in my power to not make sure Fenris is alive in the long future. Because once you've learned of everything I've been through whilst making it, you would understand why.
Yeah,
you'll seriously understand why I don't want to ever kill it.
And that's where also I have an appreciation and as you know, getting to know like Jody, for example, with OBR and getting to know you here with with Feren OS and that kind of thing. You know, not being a developer, I can't imagine the hours and the time you've spent putting all of that together, and that's why it's difficult for me when I'm looking at any particular distro. I really struggle to find things that are negative to say about it because I know, number one, things can be fixed. I think if it's something major that people need to know about it, if you have a major crash or major issue with the install, people need to be aware of that. But as far as, and Matt's over there, I know Matt's laughing because we run into some real doozies.
Party like it's 2014.
That's right. That's right. But if it's an active, developed distribution, man, kudos, big time kudos to you for putting forth all that effort and everything. And I imagine eventually it becomes like your baby. Did we lose you?
No, still there.
I had a crash.
Just didn't know what to make of that baby thing.
Do we have any other questions, guys? We're coming up on the 3-hour mark.
Holy mackerel!
I
Really?
might have to go when it's 5 p.m. English time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, we might want to wrap this one up.
Yeah, we may have to wrap this one up. Do we have any other questions or anything we should address before we do?
I don't think so.
If you had a distro, what distribution would it be based off, or would it be independent?
Ooh.
I'd have to go with Ubuntu. I know it's the curse word, but I just feel like the hardware, what is it? It just seems to pick everything up. I think Canonical have sort of outdone themselves with. They've not outdone themselves with the operating system. I think it's got worse over the years. But as a basic hardware platform, I think it seems to sort of pick everything up straight away. But the actual operating system has got worse and worse and worse. And Canonical being a big company as it is,
Someone said, "What do you think about Solus?" As in the Solus project operating system. It looks really fast.
I like Solus. The only thing I can find is that you have to wait for the developers to put the software into the thing. I mean, you usually just have to ask, and it's
also.
there.
I'm not really sure if there's even a package format like in Debian there's Debs.
No, that's right.
So I'm not sure if there's a package format in Solus.
So yours would be a Ubuntu-based distro, Sudo. What about Matt? What would you, if you had to pick one?
Just one base.
Independent, or Debian-based, or.
I'm kind of torn on that because there's two different ways I look at things. For me personally, it'd probably be an Arch base, preferably rolling, something like Manjaro or Interrogos. If I'm giving it to somebody else, it depends on if I'm supporting it. It would probably be like an Ubuntu LTS, probably Ubuntu Mate, or I know this is the evil desktop, but some people that I do know actually prefer Unity.
Oh gosh. So imagine if Feren OS was the first ever Ubuntu-based rolling release distro, though.
So those would probably be one of my. For me personally, it would be Arch-based, Manjaro or Interrogos type.
Rocco?
Well, I mean, I've used Arch in the past, and now I'm on Arch now, so I'm going to have to get used to it a little bit more. So I guess, well, let me first say by independent. The reason that Linux is great is because of the independent distributions. And you have all these guys stepping out of the normal base and making something that's really great. Now, is it usable on an everyday basis for somebody like me? No, because of but it will grow into something, or it could grow into something that's really good. So independents are great. Me personally, I'd probably stick to a Debian based.
Well, at this point, I would go with Arch-based distros, Antergos or something along that line. I applaud what's going on with Solus from the standpoint of a very secure operating system. And, I understand the reasoning. I've heard Ike already talk about the thought process behind Solus OS. And it's a great concept in that when a package winds up in their repository, they have tested it, they know it works, and I don't know behind the scenes what all they're looking for when they go through that process. But I would say that, having used it, I like what they're doing. I'm happy to see that they offered the Mate desktop, because after a period of time, Budgie, for me, it just doesn't do it for me. There's a few little niggles here and there that I would change, but and I'm like you, Rocco. I think it's great, and I think we need more of that. But right now, it would be an Arch-based distro. So, any other quick questions you think you see out there?
Says no BSD love.
It's like Marmite, isn't it? BSD, and what is it? You either love it or hate it.
Well, guys, I think we can wrap it up here. I can't believe we've talked for 3 hours.
No, it doesn't seem like it.
It whizzed by.
It doesn't, and we had no agenda.
Nope.
Well, at least it's nearly Christmas.
Hey, that's right. We're closer to Christmas now.
Yeah.
Well, let's see how close we really are.
No, do not Google that.
He's got his calculator out. Look, he's got his calculator out.
Look, it's 15 days, 12 hours, and 47 minutes until Christmas. Not that I'm counting.
Is there a native Linux app for the Santa tracker?
I don't know.
Oh,
let me check the AUR.
It'll be in there, no doubt. It'll be in there.
The sad part is it's probably in there.
Oh my goodness. You say that now, but at the end of 2 weeks, I don't think you're going to be able to part ways with the AUR. It's going to be your buddy.
It may be. You may be right.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Enjoyed this. We'll have to do this again, but maybe we'll have an agenda next time. Who knows? We'll figure it out.
Yep. I enjoyed it.
All right, guys.
I enjoyed it too.
Hey, and Feren, do you want a copy of this? Or once it's processed, I can send you a link.
Yeah. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, guys.
Thanks, thanks for the stream, Rob, and everybody else. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
See you later.
Thanks, guys.